Looks like you already have the intro. Good evening. And you can't even, it's not like you can say good morning or good evening. It's our damn show. So we just say, hi, how are you doing?
Yeah, we already are in disagreement here. Hello, everyone.
We've already decided to mess you up. And you're on RadioBobUSA.com. Obviously, if you're listening, you were crazy enough to push the play button. And then you found our show listed and you said, I'm going to tune in because I just heard that we went somewhere and that's what we're going to talk about. But I do want to thank, before we even start, my wife, who is the co-host.
Yasmin West here. Hello, everyone.
And she's actually the director of the station and runs our kind of spiritual side and accounting side. And so this last adventure you're about to hear about in this episode of our damn show was costly and worth every bead of sweat and every bit of work and everything we did to get to it. So Yasmin is going to give you an idea of what happened a few months ago when we decided to go as a recap. And we're going to kind of take it from there. So welcome to our damn show.
Welcome. And I'm going to do what?
Well,
I didn't remember that conversation. You just sort of decided we were going to Bonneville.
It could have been decided. So Yasmin had been to Bonneville before when I was out of work. And so this was a few years back, over 10 years ago. And she told me how cool it was. And she knew I liked fast cars and all that kind of stuff. And we lived in a town where there was this guy, I don't know if you racing fans ever heard of him, named Craig Breedlove. And Breedlove had set the land speed record in these kind of jet cars and fast cars a number of times, to the point where his cars are in museums. And it just happened in this little town that we lived in, Rio Vista. Breedlove's shop was like right across the street from our house. And so he was a really good guy and was always nice to us. And so we kind of always dug that. What's really cool is there was a Baja shop for guys that ran the Baja 1000 in the same town on the same block. And the hydroplane guy that ran on Lake Tahoe. So there were like these three really unique sports all within one block.
Hiding out in this little podunk town.
Right? Yeah. So anyway, fast forward a few years and it's 2015 or 16 or something. And we say, oh, we're going to go to Bonneville. So we drag a trailer and we plan to go, and then maybe we'll go to Yellowstone and maybe see a few other things. We go up there and of course it gets rained out. And so we don't go. And then a bunch of years go by and we start this radio station, which we're all sharing with you folks. And I said to Yasmin, if we can get enough fuel injected Zen coverage, which is one of our programs on our show, and it's one of the things we talk about, maybe we can get enough clout to go to Bonneville. And so we called up the media people at Bonneville and we talked to Joanne, who was spectacular and I always owe him a thank you, and said, hey, would you authorize us to be a member of the press? And so they said, sure, why not? If you can get here, do it. So then I went to my wife and said, hey, can we swing Bonneville? Because we live in California, so we knew it would cost us about $2,500. And I said, I think I can get a van. I think I can get a van really cheap. And so thanks to
Scenic Van
Rentals of Rancho Cordova, Kevin and Angela managed to get us a van and they knocked some money off of it. And so we were really appreciative about that. And so then I said, okay, we're going, right? We're definitely going. And so we had how many months? 3 months prep?
I'd say about 2, no more than 3.
Yeah. So, and we were going to cover this from the angle that we were going to find out about racing. We were going to find out about fuel injected Zen. We were going to satisfy this urge for me to go to Bonneville and see the land speed record attempts and see these guys run. And so since I built up a Facebook following, I joined this Bonneville and El Mirage group. And I just put a JPEG out that said, I'm looking for people going to Bonneville. And I just want to try and do some preliminary Zoom interviews for my measly little radio station. And
which isn't so measly anymore.
It's not so measly anymore. And so that's what we did. And Aaron Brown was like, this guy had jumped on, and I'm like, I have no idea who this person is. And he's great. I just had no idea. And he said, well, why don't you just give me your phone number and we'll talk. And so Aaron said, no, man, I got you taken care of because I'm going to hook you up. You're going to go. Well, I didn't realize that Aaron Brown's shop is staffed by these incredible, wonderful guys.
Yeah. They were so polite and so sweet. And
it's not that we didn't expect that. It's just that I didn't expect to be next to tune-up techs that had been working for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. I didn't expect to be working with Snap-on tools. I borrowed a couple of tools, and then I realized Snap-on had made some sort of sponsor deal and probably given them to them, that kind of thing. It wasn't that they weren't nice. It was just the skill level was so awesome, and the friendliness was so awesome. And they were talkative, and they were kind of interested in what we were doing.
And to watch
these
them
guys
work.
were NASCAR.
Well, yeah, and that makes sense because we watched them work, and
Right.
the amount of precision that took place and the details of just everything. I guess that's what
Right.
the top NASCAR.
Right. Well, so Aaron says, look, I'll take care of you. He goes, you'll meet us up there. And I'm like going, okay, great. Well, then I didn't hear from him for a little bit, but then I got this note from him that said, hey, I've talked to this guy that helps run the event up there, Drew Patey from Safety Kleen, which is a Clean Harbors corporation. If you need environmental work done, they're in your neighborhood. I highly suggest them. So, and I don't do that because they sponsor them. Actually, I've done some hazardous waste work. So, I think they're qualified. But anyway, so he said, hey, I talked to this guy, and you're going to come up and you're going to stay with us. And so I thought, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, nobody explained it. And so we had our van and we had our booth, and Yasmin and I managed to get some few interviews, which we hope you all heard from Michael Griffiths and John Winterberg. And we decided we would go live. And so we told Drew we were going live. Well, we get there. And they go, yeah, your space is right here. What are you going to do? And they're like, well, we're going to live broadcast from Bonneville. And we're going to meet a few people. And that's what we did.
It was so cool.
It was so cool. It was so cool.
And I guess
it's the land speed record attempt. So what you want from us is things going really fast in video, but we know you're working and doing something.
Well, right. And it was hard at first. The first day, it was hard to get interviews because these guys were busy. They were trying to accomplish something, right? And so we were kind of in the way. But
so we tried to stay out of the way, which was really helpful to them because, they're unloading my truck, and I'm like, why is a NASCAR crew unloading my truck? I can do this. I need to be self-sufficient. I don't want to bother these guys. I mean, yes, I can rip down an engine, but I can't do it here on the tarp in the time that they can.
Yeah.
With the knowledge power that they had.
But, some of the other racers that were there as well, after they did their runs on Sunday, then they all came to our booth, and we actually got quite a few interviews on Sunday.
Yeah, we were really worried. At one point, nobody was there. And, I thought this guy was going to be looking at me like, oh, this kid's some sort of loser and he can't get anything done. And then we got a couple interviews on Saturday. Well, everybody's racing. They had 351 cars out there, and you have, I think it's 10 and a half hours of usable time on the track. And you have two tracks, and everybody's got to wait, Yeah. So they all line up, and it turns out being at the start line is probably not a bad place to be if you want to interview a lot of people. And so that's where the media teams were. We stayed in the pits, and we provided Aaron Brown's team. So Aaron Brown from North Carolina operates the garage shop with his sons, Tony and Spencer. One's going for a doctorate, and the other one's going for an engineering degree or something like that. These guys are great. And so
they're very smart too.
They're very smart too. And so we were in the pits, and they were working on Aaron's Roush Yates powered car, and then Vance's. We're going to route out Vance because we want something from Vance, and Vance, it's not what you think. But Vance's Roadster for Labware. Labware was his company. And then there was this guy, C2 Restorations, which turns out to be a Corvette restoration shop, Wayne. Yeah. And Wayne's car was, I think, put together in Southern California, being pit by Aaron Brown in the garage shop. It was a fabrication shop in North Carolina. And so this is who we were kind of hanging out with. So they gave us kind of a 10-foot square, and they didn't know what to expect. And so out comes the rocks and the stones and the little tiki idols.
These weirdos from California.
And I'm hooking up the stereo, and Yasmin's pulling out the woo, and the collateral, as we call it, the paperwork and the cards and the business cards, the little rubber ducks that we give away. And we give, like, Aaron a coffee mug, and we give Drew Petey a hat, like that means something. And while we're setting up, the food shows up and they're all, get in line, get in line. I'm like, well, we can go get something to eat. They're all, no, get in line, So we're eating with them and we start cranking on the music, and pretty soon the guys are walking over going, hey man, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Who are you? And so we tell them we're here to communicate. We're here to share what we know in the world and find out what you know in your world and share it with others to help them. And they kind of looked at us like, yeah, okay, that explains why you're from California.
Well, we do have a stereotype to live up to.
Right. And we do drive BMWs, damn it, because it's our damn show. So anyway, but they were just great about the whole thing. And so the interactivity was like immediate. We just kind of stayed out of their way. We set up our stuff and we had to tear it down every night because it gets really windy out there, but we learned so much. We're going to take the interviews live that we did.
Yeah.
And we're going to take some of the Facebook stuff that we're getting, some of the videos from some of the people who competed out there on the salt. And then we're going to take some of the pictures and some of the stuff we have, and we're going to put it on our YouTube site. We're going to definitely bring it to you live, or not live, but in some sort of format that you can find it in our fuel injected Zen stuff, because we simply can't edit it tonight. We have, Yasmin had to go back to work today and try to
bummer.
Try to concentrate. I had all day off, so it was really
although if I had stayed home, I think I would have worked a lot more.
Yeah, I got a lot done today. But yeah, we're gonna get a lot of that out to you. And I can't stress it enough how cool this was. So Yasmin's gonna give me an idea of how our trip up went.
The trip up was fine. Well, except for the stop at the rest stop.
Yeah.
We really should have put the bed down.
Yeah.
Note to self. Yeah. No matter how tired you are, make the bed in the van.
Here's the new rule from this day forward for all you who are listening, at least in our household. Get as freaking comfortable as you possibly can if you're stuck in the worst shitty place in the world. So we should have made the bed and we should have leveled out the van, but our mistake was stopping at the rest stop. Why? Because it had the bathroom. You've been there. You know what it's like, right? We stopped because it had the bathroom. Yeah, well, that's why everybody else stops. So what do you think happens all night long at the rest stop? Everybody stops. And since we didn't have a head, or we weren't willing to use our little cassette device or whatever the thing was, we were all pissed off about it.
We weren't pissed.
I was. I didn't sleep.
Okay.
I didn't feel good and I didn't sleep. So we get up to the event.
I slept in stages.
Yeah, she slept in stages. But I did
keep waking up.
But so we get to the event and I've been up for literally 17 hours with an upset stomach, and I start to meet these guys. And, I'm smoozing them as we're kind of trying to set up at the same time because we want to start playing the music so people can hear it. And this is the coolest part of the whole thing is we're on the corner and we're busting out a stereo system. We're probably going to have to buy a bigger one. But we're busting out our stereo system, which used to be the gaming system off of my computer. And we plug this thing in and we start cranking out the Aerosmith and all this stuff. And they're like, oh, my God. And then the people across the way are like, oh, my God, what's going on? And they Drew got us a banner.
Yeah.
That was just so cool. Two banners. So we left one up on his trailer. And then I said, hey, I'm going to take the other one. It said live from Bonneville. And so people could see this banner and they were coming up going, why are you guys live? And we were like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can bust in and talk anytime we want. And they were like, from here? And we're like, yeah. And they were like, where are you live to? And we said, everywhere.
Yeah. Whole world.
The whole world. So for Saturday and Sunday, we had 2 interviews on Saturday.
Yeah.
And those interviews included Jeff Silwell, who let me sit in his land speed car at, what was it, 276.2 in his class. But he's going to do an interview, and so you should probably pick up. And then tell us about James or the Harley guy.
Oh, yeah. So he actually volunteers for the SCTA. And
Southern California Timing Association.
Right. And he is Mr. E Racing, and he races on his Harley. I think it was, what was it, 1918?
1912.
1912. Okay.
Harley Davidson motorcycle, mostly stock.
Yeah. And he just came over to chat, and he was very good about explaining. It's like, hey, you know, I don't come up here to be competitive or anything. I'm just here to have fun and see how fast I can take my little bike.
Right, his little Harley without blowing it up, because getting spare parts he has to have them machined.
Yeah.
And I think he said something like 71 miles an hour.
He did 73 that day. Yeah, right after his run. And he was just up there having fun, wasn't trying to set any records or anything, but just having a good time and explaining, you know, you don't have to spend a lot of money to get involved. You can just, you know, put something together like what he's got and just run and have fun.
And so what's really cool is we were able to meet a lot of people that were kind of, excuse me, we got to meet a lot of people that were, you know, like behind the scenes. And that was like really cool, because we understood like how sponsorships works a little bit better and what they were doing there, and how people come from all over the place. And then our neighbors, well, one of our neighbors was from Japan. And there's no way I can get his name right yet. And I'm going to work on it, and we're going to give him a shout out at some point. But that was really cool. And then there were people from Canada and people from Newfoundland. And then Jeff, as we mentioned, was from the UK. Right. And then we had locals from like Utah and Colorado, and Wayne from Southern California, and the guys from North Carolina. There's people from everywhere. And we always talk about trying to get people to communicate. And so this was
a lot of Germans.
A lot of Germans. You guys really appreciate the technology that these guys use, apparently, because Germans have been known to do that.
And I think they appreciate the innovation that takes place there. I mean, we go to sprint car races and everyone's setting everything up kind of exactly the same. But at Bonneville, it's all different. Right. And so people get creative.
Right, because they find the niche class to run their cars in. So and so people think, okay, well, they're out there and they're running these you know, jet cars at 500 or 600 or 700 miles an hour, and the answer is no. That's not it. Those jet cars are the rare. The normal is the Lakesters and the belly tankers and the streamliners and the fairing motorcycles that have varying sizes and compete in different classes. So you can have a 50cc motorcycle go out and do 91 miles an hour, and you'll set a world record in that class. And then we saw an electric car, and the guy had one that had two snowmobile engines in it, like literally welded together in line or something like that. And he was running it on nitrous oxide. And, you know, and the thing's like 37 feet long, but it's supposed to go like 402 maybe if everything went right. And they don't just let you do it. You have to learn.
Right. And it's not just about raw horsepower, as we found out. Fuel mixtures are incredibly important. It's not like you just throw gas in the tank like you do in your normal car. And maybe you can explain a little bit more about that, because you got to learn more about that. But I mean,
you want to burn. So you're going to ask the motor to do everything it can coming off the line if they're pushing you off, and normally they are, because the cars have a higher gear. They don't have a first gear. They start out in like top of second kind of thing. And so the gears are what we call taller. I don't know. Is that a professional term? You guys can use Facebook and get mad at me. It's either longer or taller, but I can't remember what the phrase is. But anyway,
I think like long stroke or long rods. Or
well, something. No, that's something different in the cams. Okay. But what I'm saying, the back gear, I think you make it taller. So anyway, I would call them highway gears as a kid, and so they run off at their gear 2, and then they head off, and they want to gain all the horsepower and or thrust that they can possibly gain as soon as they can gain it, and continue to use that. But as they do, that weight changes depending on the location of the car. And you have crosswinds. Well, these faster kind of streamliners doing 400 miles an hour can be like 30 feet long. And so you're talking about losing weight in a very itchy location. And if you have a heavy crosswind, it can start to squirrel your car, or even spin your car. But they
Right.
want it so the fuel mixture is designed to burn as fast as they can, and that's why they use nitrous, because it's a gas. It burns really fast. It burns really hot. It gives them a really great stroke and force and torque, and they go merrily down their business. But the faster they go, they start to lift. And so they use ground effects and techniques to create downforce, and that downforce is used to keep the car on the ground. And then they'll use like maybe a higher tail with a little bit of variable surface that they'll dial in, sometimes even ahead of time, and they'll run that fin to counter the wind at the high speeds. And that's why those rocket cars look the way they do. But the guys that we were with, they drove Roadsters and Corvettes. So they were looking at 150 to 211, and they ended up, I think one did 237 or something like that. We'll let you know more about that, but that was C2's vet. And so then if you do really well, what happens? You go to car jail.
Yeah, they impound your car.
So they impound your car.
But this is a good thing.
Right. And so then they check it over to make sure you're not cheating, and they got all these rules. So that was our day. That's how our day went. The guys would get there really early. They'd take their car, they'd go online. And so we got there and we'd start, they were like, okay, we'll take care of you. And so we took our stuff down at 6:00 and we went up and met them on the hill because they said, hey, come eat. And we had food that was awesome. And everybody's really friendly, like, hey, sit down, have a few beers, whatnot. Where I'm like dead, tired, done. And I'm like, okay, whatever,
We were ill prepared for being in that heat.
We were not prepared for being in the heat. I'd been up for like a day and a half. And so we finally got to sleep. We get there the next morning. They feed us. We set up. They start working. We turn on our music. We start waving to people. Whole day, same thing. Watching people come and go. Watch a few races. Go down to the start line. Meet fabulous friends that we met on Facebook. For real.
Yeah.
It was so cool. So we're walking through the line, and I was looking at this one car, and I go, that's got a UK flag on it, and I go, oh, that's Jeff. Cool.
Yeah.
And he's a Facebook friend, right? And he's around land speed cars. And so he says, oh, come on. Blah, blah, blah. Is that Jeff? Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. We start talking. He's like, get in my car. And I'm like, dude, you're getting ready to run.
I know. You could have broken something.
I was never so frightened in all my life. And I'm sitting here and I'm talking to this dude. And, we'll show you a little bit about that. We didn't get on video, but I'm talking to this world-class land speed racer at Bonneville. And you know what? You can do it too. You can do it. They do this stuff
They're all very
over the place.
approachable.
They're all really nice people. They do it in Arkansas. They do it in Michigan. They do it on all the runways. And maybe it's not land speed racing, but you can go find some and do it too and go meet these people. And so we were talking like we were next door neighbors. And that's how he started. And we were like, great. And so our whole Saturday, imagine your whole weekend going that way. It was like Mayberry. It was wonderful. And it was, and I only mean that from the sense of everybody being so welcome. And so then Saturday night, we tried to get dinner in Wendover. Okay, listen, if you ever
Bad plan.
Yeah. Listen, Wendover, I really appreciate all the work you did in World War II. As for the food.
You need more restaurants.
Open a chow hall or something on the side of town for a week and a half.
So that everyone can eat.
So that we can all get some barbecue, because the food's usually good. And we've eaten Wendover before, but you don't eat there during Speed Week. Forget it. Bring an RV or something, or get a cookout stove, because Subway.
Or kill a rabbit.
Yeah, kill a rabbit if you can find a rabbit. So then Sunday, so we get back up on the hill. We let the guys have their Saturday night, and they did. They went and watched Oppenheimer, a special screening of Oppenheimer in the hangar that the Enola Gay had been parked in.
Very cool.
Very cool. This is an okay movie, but they all said the same thing. It's way too long. And it is. And
yeah, I think when you and I watched it, we watched it in two nights.
Yeah, we weren't going to put up with it. So then we went back Sunday morning. We weren't dragging Sunday morning at all. And we were ready and willing and able. And so we get there at like 7:00. And everybody shows up. And they had already gotten the cars in line at 6:30. And we set up. And our system's kind of working cool. And everything's working cool. And we send Yasmin out. She starts dragging people into our booth.
Yeah.
And throughout the day, we got, I think, 4 more interviews.
Yeah.
Live on the air interviews
Including
from Bonneville.
Pappy's
Pop's Pride.
Pop's Pride. Yeah.
Pop's Pride, yeah.
A 3-generation race team.
Yeah. All 3 raced Bonneville in their primes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was very cool.
So we'll be talking more about that. And we'll be replaying their interviews as well on the Fridays as we talked about. So that was kind of our Sunday. And so then we went back for food and we met some more of the SCTA folks who were just wonderful and talked with the gang and all that. And then we finally passed out with the AC running all night in the van and woke up Monday morning. And I swear, I thought I'd been hit by a freight train. I really, everything caught up with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we knew we were leaving Monday, and I was like ready to leave at 8. And I said, and this was like 6:30, and I was like, I'm out of here, you know. And so we went, we set up a little light, but not really light, and we kept doing our thing. We kept waving.
Yeah.
And people started waving. They were waving before they got to us.
Yeah.
And
But a lot of people had left by Monday. Most people stay for the weekend.
Yeah. And we had people actually stick their heads out their car and go, "We like your show." That was pretty weird.
And we were like, really?
Really? Are you people strange?
No. We work hard to produce good content.
We really do.
But that took us by surprise a little. So
it was
nice.
And to that, to tell you exactly how hard we worked to doing this content, we like that team decided months ago to mount this challenge to go.
You decided.
I decided. I really did. And I decided to get onto Facebook and ask for these interviews. And I decided that I was going to meet somebody that was going to help us help you guys and help others communicate and do better. And I know it's our damn show. We get to say whatever the heck we want. And the only thing I want to say is just thank you to Safety Kleen and Batteries Plus and Scenic Van and Aaron Brown and his sons Tony and Spencer and Drew Patey, and I'm sure his wife must be she must be the best egg on the planet, as my mom would say. And I want to say thanks to Jeff and Michael Griffiths and John Winenberger and, you know, Heather Black and Joanne Carlson and everybody at the SCTA, you know, for making that happen, and my wife for going with me, you know, because I'm going to ride this high up until, well, at least September.
When we may be going back.
When we might be going back. Of all things. And so, wow. So think about that. So we went up there, and now I guess they liked us well enough where we swept the floor the right direction. Yeah. I'm not sure what it was. But
we did something right.
We must have done something right, because they said, "Hey, do you want to come back?" And our answer was, "Yeah, absolutely. We want to come back." Why wouldn't we? Because we get to hang out with really cool people, and we get to do the coolest thing in the world next to driving the car.
And I learned so much.
Oh, I can't wait to tell you more about it.
Yeah.
And we will delve deeper on some of the audio stuff. And we'll put that in our fuel injected Zen. But what little video we got, and we're supposed to get some in-car video and some other video from the guys. And then they gave us the Garage Shop. Tony, thank you. They gave us use of some of their content previously released. So we're going to add some of that into our mix too and let you listen to it, because they spent just an inordinate amount of time doing these really good shows, and I think they're worth sharing again. So we'll put some of those in the rotation and let you go and find them.
Yeah.
And it's a calm episode on our damn show, because you know why? We don't talk about politics.
Well, you know, when you go to Bonneville for the Land Speed Records, politics is boring in comparison. Would you not agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know what the rest of the world was doing this weekend, but I can tell you that we're going to make sure, or see exactly how it gets done. We know on video you can watch the land speed racing. And
right,
so we're going to do an unashamed plug for landspeedracing.com, because they attempted to stream the video. Right. We don't know how well they did, and I'm not sure I care, but if people want to try and watch it, you can check them out and decide for yourself.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to take food off anybody's table. So we did some video, but I don't have the equipment that they had.
Right.
and
or
positioning.
the positioning.
Right.
Yeah.
So we didn't try. So when you see our video updates, don't expect that really cool stuff because I don't know if I can get it or not. I will try.
We have to make choices. Either run the radio station or become a professional photographer.
Right. And we're not going to do the second one yet. So.
Yeah.
But we're going to do the best we can. So, and they should be, I'll tell you what though, her pictures, oh man.
Well, I do have a little experience with the camera.
Yeah, wait till you see the new fuel injected page on the website. And shouts out to Gary Thomas, Cami Arnold, Silver Dollar Speedway, Placerville Speedway. Please, everybody cross your fingers. There's a fire going on up there at Silver Dollar. We hope that Kyle Larson, Brad Sweet, and Kobe Copeland are going to be okay along with the track itself because we never know from day to day this time of year. So that does date this episode. But I'm Robert West, and this has been our damn show.
Take care now. Have a great day. Bye-bye.